Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where I talk about shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm talking about the latest episode of Beauty and the Beast. Very interesting episode because the whole premise of the episode is kind of a what-if situation, which I really like that. You know, it's one of those things you kind of see in different series. Like, instantly the one that came to my mind when I saw this, just because of, like, the romantic storyline of if we had never met type of situation. The first one that kind of came to my mind was Castle, because I liked that episode. But focusing on Beauty and the Beast, I really like it because it's one of those scenarios that basically, you know, he's just in this fugue state, but it's just a point in his mind. He's just under all this, you know, stress. Obviously, he's getting sepsis because the bullet wound he got last episode is infected. Plus he's stressing about the whole, people after him. Basically, the whole concept of it's just like, oh man, I'm ruining Kat's life. I've put her life in danger over and over and over again, and I'm continuing to put her life in danger over and over again. She could have been killed, when they got attacked at the apartment, and he's just like, she would have been better off never having met him, and that's what started the whole thing. It was just his mind playing tricks on him as he was in that fugue state, basically living in a world where they never met. He had saved her, but when she came back around, like she did in season 1, they never met. So they went off to have separate lives for the past 2 or 3 years. It did seem like 3 years, but I guess considering the fact is it's only been 2 months between season 3 and this season 4, so I'm guessing, really it's more like 2 years, but, relatively speaking, it's been 3 years. But nevertheless, yeah, him and JT still on the run from Mirfield. Because what I really liked is when it's all said and done, they ended up saving each other's lives. Basically, she helped Vincent deal with the whole Mirfield situation. If it wasn't for Kat, that, he'd still be on the run, as we've seen. And if it wasn't for Vincent, she'd still be asking questions, feeling like no one believed her. And apparently with Evan, which I feel so bad for Evan on multiple levels. For one, there's those key lines connected to it being a what if episode. One being his line, he's like, I'd die for you. It's like, yeah, you would, and you did. You died for Kat. And it's a situation of hey, since Vincent wasn't in the picture, Evan was able to step forward and ask her out, because he always had feelings for her. But it's just because at the time, at the beginning of the series, obviously he had feelings beforehand, but it's once we met them at the beginning of the series, she was already getting involved with Vincent and falling in love with him, because the whole, being who he is saved her. The whole the situation with her mom, that he's the one that saved her. So in this situation, Evan stepped up. They ended up getting married. Sadly for Evan, she doesn't love him. She tries her best, but doesn't, the feelings aren't mutual. He loves her more than she loves him. For one, also, he doesn't believe her about the whole the whole thing, that happened, because he's like everyone else and thinks it's a fairy tale. What's very interesting is, even though things are a little different, they do turn out quite the same, because in the end, in Vincent's word, the real world, Evan did end up betraying them and kind of turning Vincent over because of how much he loves Kat. He didn't want her in danger, because he thought Vincent was dangerous. So that's the same. Having a change of mind and deciding no, protect Kat. He did that, sacrificing himself. It's sad. Even in an alternate world, he still can't get the girl. He can get her, but she just doesn't love him, and he can't keep her. And he still ends up dying too, so it's kind of a shame. I did like the fact that him and Vincent had a moment. He's just like, I know she tried her best, but she doesn't love me. Maybe you can fill that hole in her heart, because you can give her answers. And then basically what it ended up coming down to was basically Vincent saying Evan, you're a good man. I never really got a chance to say, tell you that. And it's just kind of like, oh. Because because back then it's kind of really for one, he really didn't know Evan that well. The only way he knew Evan was kind of hey, competition for Catherine's heart. Which legitimately, I was talking about that the past episode, bringing up oh yeah, past lovers of Kat, and I was like, I completely forgot about Evan, but then I remember, oh yeah, her and Evan never actually dated, did they? I could be remembering that wrong, but it's like they never got to that point. Evan always had feelings for her, but it never went anywhere. So it was kind of always like an unrequited love, like he never really told her. I think eventually he did at one point tell her how he really, I don't know, like it's been so long since I've seen season 1, so that's kind of some of that's a blank for me, but nevertheless, that kind of sucked. We also got a return of Kat's dad. I did like Vincent telling him all these things. It's just, how the hell do you know all the things you do know? It's just, it's a very interesting what if episode. Granted, it ended a little bit differently than I thought it would have. I thought it would have ended with like, it's like, oh, they finally get together. I mean, it kind of happened that way. It's like, oh, they finally get together, and then, Vincent wakes up from the state, but it's like, it didn't happen immediately. It's not like, oh, we're falling in love now in this fugue state, and now, oh, I'm back to real world. It's like, no, just the world started collapsing as they were running away, so I would have liked to have seen her dad play more of a role in this. I did like the whole JT and Tess thing. Still, in this world, because of not getting involved with Vincent, she ended up staying with Joe, continued having their affair, which, now that was kind of like, I don't remember in season 2 or season 3. Well, I mean, definitely in season 3, but like, she never dated anyone since Joe, did she? Because that ended, when he kind of left, because basically he was kind of like kicked out because people were like, yeah, he became so obsessed with, the murders that, quote unquote, Vincent committed, the ones that Evan took the blame for, saying like, oh, I was the one doing all of this, yada, yada. That whole situation, like after that, he kind of got kicked out, because he basically let every other job fall through, like all his other work fall through. So I was thinking, JT's like the most recent guy she's dated since Joe, isn't he? I'm guessing? I don't know, I could be wrong. I don't remember any other love interest popping up for her. Like I remember from, time to time that came up, but I really would have liked to have seen like a really like more expansive what if, but it's still a fine episode. I just really would have liked to see more of like what else was different, because they hadn't met. It was kind of interesting seeing the whole Tess and JT thing. I love that little thing throughout this episode, the whole gummy worm thing. It's like, gummy worm, and then she's like, you're so stupid, and smiling. He's like, but I made you laugh. So it's just like, that's so sweet and adorable. It's really like, I don't know, I feel like we never really got to see kind of the fun, goofy side to the relationship, because it was always under like stressful circumstances, like, hey, yo, we got to help Vincent and Kat with this whole situation. It's like we always saw that side of the relationship. We never saw kind of the fun, goofy times, and that kind of showed that other side of the relationship. That was kind of interesting to me, and it's just like how it got reflected in both worlds, and it's just like, I don't know, because I even like the fact that JT was like, oh, you mean Kat's like hot partner? And it's just, to me, it was very interesting that we kind of got this, like I said, they have a relationship obviously that I feel like it's never really been delved into that much. I mean, granted, we've seen pieces of it, because we did see that side, a little more side of them when, like, I brought it up in a previous episode, but JT, trying to impress her brothers, that was kind of like a situation like that. But it's still obviously, Kat and Vincent being the main focus. So, it's just another look at JT and Tessa's kind of their relationship, and I kind of appreciated it. The real big revelation that we got after all of it was said and done is we ended up finding out that, I mean, basically they pieced it together that basically there's two people after Vincent, which is very fascinating to me, because it did make you wonder, okay, why did all of a sudden, at the beginning it's like, oh, capture, now it's kill him. It's like, okay, now it makes sense why the sudden change in how they handle everything. It's like, oh yeah, it's because there's two different people after you, which now it seems like maybe the person that wants to capture Vincent, whoever they are, they don't actually know that he's a beast. The only one that knows he's a beast is the one that's trying to kill him. But the question is, why do they want to kill him? Maybe it's to make sure that the person that wants to capture him doesn't get him. Maybe they're actually two competitors going after each other, and it's like, I don't need a beast, but I don't want that person to have a beast. I don't know. It's very interesting to see, like, I can't wait to find out more about who these people are that they, who these people are. Like, you've got not just only hunters coming after Vincent, and not just him, everyone in the group, Tess, JT, and Kat. I mean, most likely Heather too, but also you got assassins and hunters. So things being the way they are, they're just going to be in a constant state of danger. And it's just like, I'm very curious to see where everything goes. Like I said, I don't even have any theories. Like I said, my running theory is still Kyle. I still don't trust him. Like I said, with each passing episode, even though we haven't seen him, it gets a little less and less. But there's still a part of me that's just in my heart. It's like hoping it's like, ooh, it's Kyle, isn't it? He tried. I'm sorry, Kyle screwed himself in my opinion because he tried too hard to implant himself in Heather's life, and it's like that looked too uber suspicious to me. So maybe it's like I said, get the feeling at the very least, even if it doesn't end up being Kyle, I get the feeling it has to be someone that we do know. Could be completely wrong. Could be someone we don't know at all. Maybe there are like people from back in the day of Muirfield. Maybe there are some government agencies or something that want Vincent, and maybe this is like a bidding war between two opposing powerful people. Maybe it's two wealthy people, like I said, a competition between the two, or maybe it's something much, much more. Like I said, we delved into the Beast past a little bit. It'd be kind of interesting. I'd like to get this being the final season, I'd like to get a little more about the Beast. I mean, question is, I haven't even brought it up, but it's like, well, I think I have brought it up, but the whole cure situation, it's like, I get the feeling that's where this is possibly leading to. Like, at the very end of it all, he will get a permanent cure, and he won't have to worry about being a beast anymore. Because, even faking his death won't last long. As we saw, like, he spent 9 or 10 years pretending to be dead, but that didn't do anything. That didn't stop Muirfield from eventually finding out, oh yeah, you're still alive, and tracking him down. Obviously, there were many other circumstances that led to that, but still, nevertheless. So it's not even a situation like, oh, I can fake my death, because that won't last forever. He has to get cured so that people will stop looking for him. So, like I said before, very good episode. I really like what-if episodes, but we still end up with more questions than answers. We're still piecing it together bit by bit, but at the end of it all, I'm very curious to see who it is that's after Vincent and why. But that's really all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.